Jim Skrmetta Show. Thank you for tuning in. We are here on a Monday giving you the best 30 minutes you can possibly find on the TV, on the radio, on YouTube, wherever you are listening or watching. Thank you. You could be anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with us for 30 minutes learning everything you need to know to go about your day, to get at that water cooler, to talk to your friends, to be the one in the know. Allow me to take you on this journey. Today we have a stunningly packed show. An outrageously packed show is borderline insulting to other programs that we pack this much stuff into 30 minutes of bliss. Today on this show, we're going to go over an African priest who was eaten by crocodiles, allegedly, during a demonstration. We're also talking Eddie Lacy making some money by not being fat. We're talking about Lonzo Ball's shoes, the $495 shoes that Lavar Ball has told us all about. We're also talking about Jim McElwain and the infamous naked shark picture. And is it okay for James Harden to have been at the club after the Game 6 blowout loss that sent him home, courtesy of the San Antonio Spurs? So let's get into this thing. Before we start, though, I've got to tell you, if you haven't rated or reviewed the show, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're a nuisance to your community. Because if you rate and review this show, then there's a chance that it breaks onto the charts, that top 50, top 100 chart on iTunes. And then we can get rid of the no-name, nobody scrubs they're shoving down your throat during your drive to and from work. The visibility that this show gets pushes the chumps out. So help me help you. Rate and review the show. I'm not going to say you have to do 5 stars, but I certainly would. So let's do it. Let's get into it. So the story out of Africa, and before we start, I need to go ahead and say that I don't know if this story is 100% true. It sounds incredibly fishy. No pun intended. But it sounds incredibly fishy, and a lot of eyewitness testimony, not a lot of credible sources. The guy's last name is spelled Mthethwa. So, it's a whole different world over there. They don't believe in vowels. So here's a story. A pastor last weekend said, look, I'm going to show you guys how Jesus walked across water. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. So he steps up, and there's a river called the Crocodile River. And there's no irony here. It's called the Crocodile River because it's full of crocodiles. So he's got to walk across this river. On top of the river, walk to the other side. All of his people, all of the audience, all of the non-believers, all of the believers will be stunned. Absolutely stunned. I certainly would be. So the guy, Jonathan Methethwa, I spelled his name earlier. As my first time trying to say it, I think I nailed it, to be totally honest. So Jonathan goes into the Crocodile River. For some reason, he walks 90 feet into the river and then decides it's time. So then he decides he's going to climb on top of the river and walk across, showing off his benevolent powers. Sadly, allegedly, Jonathan did not do that because when he was trying to climb on top of the river, that didn't work out. And he was eaten alive in front of his congregation by 3, maybe more, but they're saying 3 crocodiles. And probably a pretty violent scene. And so the congregation's upset. And I cannot blame them. I certainly can't blame them for being upset. What I want to know is, what was Jonathan thinking when he made that 90-foot walk through the river? Because he's sitting there going, I can't walk on this damn river. I don't know how to do this. This is going to be so embarrassing. He's just plodding out there, just wading through the water, probably draped in all white or something. It's probably hot as hell. And he's just walking out there like, man, I am going to be the biggest laughingstock when I get back at the watering hole. When I get back to the watering hole, they are going to eat me alive. And I'm going to be done. I'm going to have to do something else. I can't be a priest. I can't be someone who said, hey, watch me do this. Hey, watch me be, this guy. Watch me do these awesome things. If I go out there and I stumble and I have to brushstroke my way back and say, well, I kind of messed up a little bit. I think we've all been there, to be totally honest. I think we've all been there where you get into a situation where going into it, you know you can't do it, or you know you have absolutely no experience doing it, or you know there's a really good chance you're not going to be able to do this. Like if your boss at work say, hey, can you finish this? Or hey, do you have any experience doing this? And of course you're going to say, yeah, oh, I can totally do that. And then you walk off out of the office, heading back to your office, and you're thinking, I cannot do that. I have made a huge mistake. But you continue. You never turn around and say, hey, boss, I know I kind of messed up. I know I kind of fudged up a little bit here, but I may not be able to do what I told you I could do, so whoopsie poopsie. Sorry? No one does that. They just go forward. And that's what this guy did. So we have to respect him in that aspect that he said, I know I cannot do this, but I shall continue and give it my damnedest. Now, no one ever thinks they're going to be devoured by crocodiles, but that's what happened to this fellow. The second thing to this story is the people watching, those people, they get a free pass at the gates of heaven. You know, when the angels rain down, the second coming, and they slaughter the demons here on earth, and then raise everyone up to the heavenly gate, and then they're going through the list like at a club. They're like, okay, you know, Kevin Jones, oh, you're in the list. Samantha, it was Samantha. All right, come on through. Whenever it gets to those people, all they have to do is be like, I was one of the people that watched my pastor get eaten alive by 3 crocodiles. Yes, sir. I think I have a bottle of champagne waiting for me inside. And Jesus will be like, yeah, man, come on in. So they have a free pass forever. They can do whatever they want. That group of people, I don't know how many people it was, we'll say 30. Those 30 people who may have been on the fence, may have not been, but they said they woke up, went to Sunday Mass, you know, their preacher dragged them out to this crocodile river. They're all sitting there like, man, what the hell? I got to get to brunch. Like, there's a game coming on in 30 minutes. This homily is running too long. My man's walking 100 feet out into a river. And then somebody else in the back's like, I don't know, maybe this whole religion thing maybe is not for me. And then it got full Lake Placid. And 3 alligators ripped apart their priest. So yeah, I could see where leaving that place, they may be like, you know what? This ain't for me. So if it gets down to a heaven situation, I know I got their back. I'm voting for them to get in. That's a tough one to accept right there, I will admit. Next story. Eddie Lacy. We know Eddie Lacy. Everyone knows Eddie Lacy. Former Alabama running back, now plays for the Seattle Seahawks, formerly of the Green Bay Packers. He got a little bloated. Last time we saw him, he was a little bloated. Everyone started to worry about his weight. Everyone started to worry about Eddie Lacy's weight. So, the Packers got rid of him. Seahawks pick him up. The Seahawks put a clause in his contract that says, all right, Eddie, you can play on this team, but you're going to have weight checks. And if you come in under the weight, then we'll give you weight checks. You get what I'm saying? That's on-the-fly wordplay right there. So Eddie Lacy had to weigh less than 255 pounds. His first weight check was Monday, and he weighed in 2 pounds under the weight. He weighed in at 253, and for those 2 pounds, for weighing in properly, Eddie Lacy got a cool check for $55,000. Now, imagine if a normal place did this. A normal work environment did this. We say all the time on this show, it's virtually impossible to compare sports, pro sports, especially the NFL, to normal workday environments. But imagine if you're down at your local insurance center. They put a clause in for Susan up at the HR and said, Susan, if you can put down those damn Gordettos for 2 weeks and weigh less than 200 pounds by the time we do a weight check, where we're going to have everyone file in like horses and stand on the scale, if you can somehow get your Gordetto-stained fingers clean and weigh less than 185 pounds, we'll give you $4,000. It'd be national news. It'd be national news. It'd be all over the place. It'd be everywhere. I mean, I can see it now. I can see MSNBC just going bananas. Feminists coming out of everywhere. Overweight crowd comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it's body shaming left, body shaming right. Any place other than professional football, this would be the most outrageous, hated stipulation of all time. But because this is the NFL, and because this is sports, everyone's just like, hey, man, good job, Eddie. Way to put down that Chinese food, brother. $55,000, well deserved. It's crazy to think that how progressive we seem to be and how progressive everyone acts to be. And then one of the biggest franchises, biggest sport leagues, owns a day of the week. They're doing stuff like this. I mean, you don't see this kind of stuff in horse racing, But good for Eddie. Good for Eddie Lacy. I'll tell you this though, 2 pounds is cutting it close. I mean, 2 pounds is one bad trip to McDonald's. 1 second look at that dollar menu. One hesitation on the, would you like anything else, sir? When they hit you with that question, that is one hesitation away from 2 pounds. That's one hesitation away from, you know what? I deserve those large fries. You know what? Is Joe's ice cream machine working? Because I deserve a McFlurry. That's what that is. I guarantee you this too. Eddie Lacy, to come in at 2 pounds under, there is not a shadow of doubt in my mind that Eddie Lacy ate whatever the hell he wanted. And then about 4 days before, he was like, man, I could use 55 grand, and then just fasted. And was just like sleeping under hot, wet blankets, running, wearing garbage bags, the whole UFC weight cut thing, just to get under. 2 pounds is cutting it close with $55,000 on the line. Now, I'll tell you that. Next story. Lonzo Ball, NBA draft prospect. I shouldn't be able to tell you who he is, or I shouldn't have to tell you who he is. But if you've been living under a rock like Patrick Starr, Lonzo Ball is a former point guard, UCLA. His dad, Lavar Ball, has been the loudmouth guy all over all the sports shows, all over the place. And he's been talking about how great his son is. And his son is good. We're not taking anything away from his son. But they released their shoe, or Lonzo's shoe, the ZO2, I believe it's called. And they released them for $495. And LeVar Ball came out and said, look, if you can't pay for this, if you're afraid to pay for my shoes, then you ain't a big baller. His brand, of course, is the Big Baller brand. That's who makes the shoes. And people wondered, who's going to buy these? How many people were going to buy these shoes? Turns out that they've been out for close to 2 weeks, week and a half, something like that. About 500 pairs of the shoes have been ordered, according to a report in the LA Times. They did a kind of a code breakdown of the website, and it showed the orders placed. It was about 500. So about 500 of the $495 shoe. And I just really hate this. We talked about LeVar a while ago. We talked about what it would do for Lonzo. And I really hate it because I think Lonzo's really good and really talented, but his dad is just killing him. I mean, his dad is just making this impossible for Lonzo. It's getting to the point now where unless Lonzo is an immediate MVP caliber player, then there is no way in hell he's going to be able to meet LeVar's demands. It's unfortunate that this is the first kid, the first time we hear LeVar, first time we see a Ball brother getting ready for the draft, and all this stuff. And it's just, I think this is it, to be honest. I think this is a good example of LeVar taking it too far. And I said when Lonzo got out of UCLA, I said it's time to be done with Dad. Dad got you here. He talked the talk. You walked the walk. You're going to be a top 3 pick, probably the number 1 overall pick. Unless Boston gets it, then maybe somebody else. But definitely a top 3 pick. You're made. Your money's made. Let Dad do it for the other kids. Lonzo Ball is probably the flashiest, most highlight-packed player to come out of the NCAA in a long, long time. out of UCLA, a storied program in Los Angeles. And who's probably going to draft him? More than likely, the Los Angeles Lakers are going to draft him. The kid's 6'6", plays point guard, flashy, high-dollar position, plays the game with some serious Magic Johnson-style flair, very marketable, and Under Armour, Adidas, and Nike have all passed on shoe deals with Lonzo because of his dad. If you're Lonzo and you're that good and your dad cost you that right there is when you know that things ain't good. And that right there is when you know maybe my stock's taking a bit of a hit. Maybe I'm getting hurt by this. And yeah, you have all this publicity with this $495 shoe, but I got a feeling that whatever shoe that Under Armour puts out is probably going to sell more than your dad's company. And I don't know if I'd want to be attached to a company being run by Lavar Ball. Lavar Ball reminds me, to use a wrestling term, he reminds me of a guy named Vince Russo. Vince Russo is probably the most prolific writer in wrestling history. He wrote for the WWE during the late 90s when things were getting pretty Attitude Era-ish. They were getting pretty risque. But he had Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon could kind of tell him, look, let's tone down some of these stories. Let's run with these stories. Let's kind of mix mash some things. He had that guy ahead of him to kind of control his creativity. And the WWE was very successful at that point. That's when, The Rock was there, Stone Cold was there, Undertaker was there, all these big-time players were there. And then Vince went to WCW, where there was no ceiling. He was the top guy. He was making that final decision. And the storylines were too outrageous. They didn't fit. There was no fluidity. There was nothing. Fluidity is one of those words where if you're about to say it, very good chance you won't nail it. But man, if you nail fluidity, and you let it rip, whew, that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. Just say it. You say it right now. Don't think about it first. Think about I'm about to say fluidity. And then let it rip. Just say it. One try, one chance. You don't get two chances at this. Just think of a sentence, whatever. You can repeat the sentence that I said and see if you nail it. And if you do, give yourself a high five because that's a good feeling. That's a great feeling. But anyways, Vince was in WCW, and he was part of the reason that WCW collapsed because it was just the product was terrible. It was too much. Title changes were happening all the time, run-ins, disqualifications, crazy characters, crazy storylines, all this. And that's what I feel like with LeVar Ball. He may have that creative marketing genius or whatever you want to say, but he's got to have somebody who can kind of reel things in. And right now, he's just running and gunning. He's just burning. He's burning at both ends. And unfortunately, I think LeVar's in the middle. Or Lonzo's in the middle. I think Lonzo's in the middle, burning at both ends. It ain't going to be pretty. I got a strong feeling that Lonzo Ball is going to suffer because of LeVar Ball. And LeVar's pockets, they might swell up a little bit right now, but he better hope Lonzo keeps walking the walk. And for as much as he's talking the talk, that is a lot of walking to ask out of somebody, especially a rookie in the NBA. So we got Jim McElwain. Next story. Jim McElwain, coach of Florida, the University of Florida football team, I believe from Colorado State before that. There was a picture on the internet last week of a naked, portly fella straddling a shark on a fishing boat, like a charter boat. And it looks just like Jim McElwain. And there's a big smile, all that stuff. And people were like, is this Jim McElwain? Is Jim McElwain out there in the middle of the summer straddling sharks? So, of course, it goes viral. It blows up for like 5 straight days. And finally, they say, no, it's not Jim McElwain. No, it's not me. The AD at Florida had to talk. The president at Florida had to talk. Everyone had to talk. Everyone had to say something about Jim McElwain and the shark. Well, apparently now they know who it is. Some former New York police officer named Sean, who the picture's from like 2 years ago and just recirculated. I have no idea why it recirculated, but Sean pretty much said, that's me. It's not Jim McElwain. Story's over, right? Wrong. Because people still think it's Jim McElwain. That's how the internet works now. And let me tell you this. Jim McElwain made a mistake. Jim McElwain should have came out and said, yeah, that's me. Look what I'm doing. Come play for me. Will the guy recruiting you ride a shark? Is your coach hunting down sharks and then naked riding them? What's your coach doing? Watching game tape? I don't think so. What's your coach doing? Visiting recruits in Itawamba, Mississippi? No thanks. What am I doing? I'm going full Cowboy Ugly, rodeo style, on a dead tiger shark. Naked. Come play for me. I'm Jim McElwain. That's the video. That's the pitch. Look, that's what people want. They want to separate from the pack. They want uniqueness. They want one of a kind. They want can't miss. Look at Jim Harbaugh. Every time Jim Harbaugh does anything outlandish, boom, recruits filing in. Recruit. Oh, Jim McElwain drinks a gallon of milk every day. Oh, Jim McElwain said this. Jim Harbaugh said this. Oh, Jim Harbaugh said he eats nothing but steak. Oh, Jim Harbaugh, look at him. He's in a arm wrestling competition. Whatever. People want outrageousness. People want pure adrenaline, high momentum. And Jim McElwain took 20 steps back. Jim McElwain had a chance to be that guy, to be the maniac coach running through a wall, riding sharks. Let's go. Let's get fired up. I'm getting fired up thinking about it. I'm getting fired up just thinking about Jim McElwain pitching that to a high school kid, sitting in his living room, holding the picture up, saying, you see this kid? You see this? This is who you can play for. You can play for me. I'm the guy hunting down sharks. And then when I do hunt them down, I strip down to my skivvies, my birthday suit, and I get on top of that thing. That's a guy that could bring in 5-star recruits. What is Jim McElwain, the guy that says, no, it's not me? Jim McElwain, the guy that said that, is the same guy who will score 13 points in about 5 total games to start the season, a limp into the SEC East, the SEC East title because the SEC East is terrible, get blown out by Bama, and then probably losing, the Tax Slayer Bowl. And then next season, and then the next season. It's the tale of two Jims. The tale of two Jims here. And Jim McElwain lost very badly. He needs a PR guy like me. Say yes, Jim. Take it back. Say that was you on the shark. And let McElwain Mania run wild. Final story. So the Houston Rockets, James Harden, in Game 6 was awful. It was absolutely terrible. Just the worst. Spurs blew out the Rockets in Houston to eliminate them from the playoffs. James Harden, like I said, was terrible. I mean, you're talking about non-existent, sluggish, looked awful. So he looked so bad that people believe, and maybe he did, that he had a concussion from a blow that he took to the head from Pau Gasol in Game 5. So people were saying, look, there's no way this guy was this bad at home. No way. He had to be concussed. So people were thinking, okay, he was concussed. Why wasn't he checked out by a doctor? Poor job by the Houston staff. Shame on you. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Well, then some pictures surfaced of James Harden partying at a Houston club mere hours after the elimination. So people were wondering, and people are asking, should he have gone out? Is it okay to go out? Is it okay for James Harden to have played that poorly in an elimination game, have you get beat at home by 30, and then go out to the club? And, I thought about this because this one's close for me. This one isn't very easy. This isn't a he definitely shouldn't have done that situation or a he definitely should have done that situation in my mind. I can see both sides. But I think that I'm on the side of he should not have done that. He should not have done that. Because it's self-awareness. I say it all the time. It's self-awareness. I've had bad losses in my careers, in different sports and different ventures. You have a loss. And if you have, let's just say, the worst loss of your life, okay? I'll paint a picture for you. Racquetball championship. All city. 30-man tournament, single elimination. Pressure, outrageous. Tension, all-time high. You make it all the way to the finals against your rival. Where does he live? Same neighborhood as you. You see him every day. Every day. He's wearing his goggles. He's wearing his racquetball goggles. He's got wrist tape on. He's staring you down every damn day. You meet him in the finals, and he waxes you up and down in front of your whole family, slices and dices you to the tune of 12-0. How are you going to feel when you walk out of there? Really bad. Now, what are you going to want to do? More than likely, go get blacked out on some good hooch. You're going to want to go find the nearest bottle, the nearest liquor store, and drink that thing away. So I have absolutely no problem with James Harden's mindset being, man, I just got it smacked around, 27 points, at home, eliminated from the playoffs, the best season I've had as a pro, goes out like that. Before the conference championship. And my hometown fans have to see that. So I can see where he'd want to go get some booze, maybe, listen to some music, forget about it. No problem with that. The problem is self-awareness, James. Be a leader. You can't go out to the club. Do what any self-respecting man would do. Go to the liquor store. Buy a bottle of whatever the hell you want to drink. Get some hibachi takeout. Chicken and steak. Or shrimp, whatever. Beach season. Doesn't matter to me. Get whatever you want. Get 2 egg drop soups, vegetable, fried rice, whatever. You want an appetizer? Go for it. You want something else? You want fries? Get them. Chicken nuggets? Go ahead. Get all that. Get to your house. Pop the bottle. Don't worry about a cup. Don't worry about a mixer. If you want ice, get ice. And start tugging the hooch. Start drinking it, eating the hibachi, eating the rice, eating the chicken, eating the steak. Pour yum yum sauce all over it. Pour it in the drink. I don't care. And drink by yourself like a real man. There is nothing wrong with drowning your sorrows by yourself with greasy food and alcohol. That's what winners do. That's what winners do. That's what everyone does. And James Harden should have taken a lesson out of my playbook. That's the first page. When the things get rough, when your back's against the wall, clear your mind, hit reset, and drink by yourself. That's the only way to do it. You don't go to the club. James Harden, I've got to give you tough love here. I've got to tell you what you did was wrong. What you did is not what a leader does at all. And you know what? As namesake buddies, I'm downright disappointed. Downright disappointed, James. That is going to be the show, guys. Could it have been any better? I don't think so. That's electric. Powerful. Strong. 30 minutes. I can't believe. Let's check the time. Let's check. We're right on it. I'm even giving you some time to spare. I'm giving you time to spare because I know that your day is precious. Now, I'm not talking about that kind of precious. I'm not talking about possible diabetes situation precious. I'm not talking about potentially had, HIV in 9th grade? Inner city school? No. I'm talking about the real deal right here. Best in the world. I'll say it every show if I have to. You will not find any show better than this show right here. What we do is top-notch every single day. So thank you again for listening. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to rate and review the show or drop a comment, all that fun stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find me in between shows, in between all the content that I do put out at JSKRMETTA on Twitter. Shoot me anything, whatever you thought about the show, any questions, any comments. I'm always there. I will respond incredibly quickly. So thanks, guys, again. In case you don't know, and I'm not sure how you could possibly know at this point, but if you don't know, this has been the James Skrmetta Show.